Are you dreaming about travelling again? I bet you are. So give yourself a break and listen to my brand new travel podcast. It's made for people like you, by people like you. And in these podcasts, there will be interviews with different types of travellers and the strange characters that I've met on the road. With stories and anecdotes from the last 32 years of my continuous backpacking and working around the world. Also, there'll be cynical destination descriptions and the occasional travel tip to smooth your journey. And for all the squeamish listeners out there, I just want to say that no studio was used or abused in the making of these podcasts or any of the recordings. So please check it out, and I hope you like it. Oh, and by the way, my name's Alan. I have something different for you this week as I recount my experience in an 8.1 earthquake in Mexico City, which will be followed by my chat with Jachov from the Czech Republic. Raging forest fires, scorching deserts, floods up to my chest, and earthquakes. These are just some of the situations I've encountered while backpacking the world. This story comes from September the 20th, 2017, and it was a Wednesday. Very few things in this world are as sudden and as violent as an earthquake. None more so than the 8.1 in Mexico City that day. I was on the 5th floor of the hostel when Miguel, the manager, said he wanted to show me what to do in case of an earthquake. To which I replied that I'd stand under a door frame or dive under the nearest desk. No, he said. You grab onto these columns. The iron and steel that goes through the centre of these pillars runs from the bottom to the top and will be the only thing standing when the building comes down. I hugged a couple of columns, said thanks and went back to using the computer. And that was 11:30 in the morning. Then, at 2:30, without warning, there was a sudden violent shaking shudder and everybody grabbed onto something. I grabbed a column. I saw the French guy Tony down on the floor holding his bag over his head, and the really young American guy holding on to the reception counter with both hands, crying with fear, and Justina, the German girl, sheltering under the reception counter next to the Frenchman. You just couldn't stand. It was almost impossible to stand up, and within milliseconds, anything that wasn't bolted down crashed to the floor. Windows shattered and large cracks started to appear all around us. The sound was terrifying. As I struggled to hold onto the column, the Mexican cleaning girl hung onto my right arm, screaming in my ear. "Why are you screaming?" I asked. "You should be used to this." "I come from Guadalajara, and we don't have earthquakes there," she replied. Hanging off my other arm, as I clinged to the column, was the manager Miguel, his legs spread wide to give him some stability and balance, and with a look on his face that said everything. We just had to hang on. As bigger cracks appeared, masonry started to fall, and then the most massive crack opened up in the lift shaft right in front of us. I thought to myself, another 30 seconds of this and the roof will come in and the building will go down. But within 15 or 20 seconds, I felt it slow. And it stopped almost as instantly as it started. It was weird. We got everybody down the stairs and onto the street. No injuries, everybody was fine. In the street, the road was already solid with people streaming out of the city, Office workers, shop workers, council workers, everybody. Even police forced their way through, their sirens piercing the mayhem. Overloaded buses pushed through with passengers hanging off the sides. And some cars stopped to pick people up. No real panic, just calm evacuation. This went on for more than 5 hours, the continuous stream of people, which is not really surprising in a city with 25 million people. One of our guests was on the metro when the quake struck, and the trains automatically stop. Doors open, and they have special ladders inside so you can climb down onto the track. You walk out of the tunnel, up onto the street, and to safety. And what is really bizarre is the fact that 32 years ago, on the exact same day, there had been another earthquake in Mexico City, but this one had been massive and devastating, killing around 10,000 and injuring 30,000. On the same day 32 years earlier. This one killed about 200 and injured many more. We were lucky. And during the week leading up to the 8.1 quake, we had several smaller tremors of 4 and 5, which started slowly and ended slowly. But this was different. This was sudden, violent and quick. In Japan, they have the same problem, as does Chile, and the people who live there have learnt to read the tremors. Apparently it comes with practice. Since then, I've been in many countries that have quakes and tremors, and I've learnt that instead of pulling my bed away from the wall, in an earthquake zone you push it against the wall to make sure you're the first to feel any vibrations or tremors. You should also organise a day pack with all your important things in, so you can just grab it and run. If you fear an imminent quake, you can always sleep with your clothes on, even your shoes if you have to. So get yourself a small bag, have it at the end of the bed, and be ready to run at the slightest tremor. One good and simple earthquake alarm is a glass of water sitting on the table. You can sit there and watch it and see how it picks up the smallest of vibrations well before you feel it, and it may give you that little bit of pre-warning that something's coming. Normally, all the time there are tremors, you're safe. But it's when the tremors stop and the pressure's building. Okay, my next interview is with a really nice young lad from Czechoslovakia.
Czech Republic.
Sorry, is there a difference?
Yeah, Czechoslovakia ceased to exist in 1991.
Oh, Czech Republic, okay. This interview I'm doing at night on a terrace, so please excuse any background noise. I'm with a really nice guy, Jacob from the Czech Republic. I'll get him to introduce himself and he can tell you his story. Jacob, please explain to the listeners what type of traveller you are.
So right now I would consider myself a backpacker.
And how long have you been backpacking?
On this trip I've been backpacking for 2 months.
Where did your travelling start? When you were a boy or just recently?
We used to go on holidays with my parents when I was little, but I think my traveling started when I went to America for the first time when I was 15 or 16.
Wow, where in America?
I went to Buffalo.
Why?
In New York. I had an American girlfriend, so I went to visit her.
Okay, I soon quickly discovered that Buffalo is not the best state.
No, it's very cold.
And the roads are rough and
Yes.
Stuff like that. That's another whole different story. Okay, how long did you spend in America?
The first time I was there for 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's okay. Gives you a good impression. Were you happy? Do you like America?
Yeah, I do. Ended up studying there for a year.
What other countries have you travelled to?
I think right now I'm up to 23 or 24 countries.
Wow.
Most of Europe, outside of
Hang
Europe.
on, can I just ask you,
Yes.
how old are you?
I'm 20.
He's 20. Listeners, he's 20. He's been backpacking. He's been out there. So you're a backpacker. You're 20 years old. Have you had any bad experiences while traveling?
Absolutely. Most of my bad experiences are tied to problems with traveling.
But with the transport or with people trying to rob you or...
Usually it's the transport, usually just the delays in airplanes. And
If you go to India, you can wait 2 or 3 hours for a train and then they tell you it's been cancelled.
Yeah,
So, you know,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
all that. But you get used to that. The older you get, it doesn't matter. You just sit on the floor and just wait it out. Okay, give me a good experience. What comes to mind?
for me, traveling is all about meeting new people
Yeah.
and getting to
Yeah.
know new cultures.
But you also, yes, you also meet people that they'll be friends for
Absolutely.
life, I think.
Yes.
Not all of them, but some of them. Do you think food's important when you travel?
I love food. I'm a foodie, definitely. So,
Okay.
for example, when I go to Italy, I love their food. But it's not my number one preference when I'm traveling, because often the good food is very expensive. And if you want to travel for long, you have to travel
Stretch
on
it
a budget.
out.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you a vegetarian or a normal meat eater, or what type of food do you like?
I don't usually have any restrictions, but on
Okay.
this trip, I decided to be a vegetarian for a week.
And
It went well. I decided to do it when I was in Malta, and I did complete the whole week, which was an interesting experience.
yeah.
Yeah.
And what was the difference? Can you say only a week? But I mean, was there a difference in that week?
It was a little harder to find places to eat and food that
Yeah.
you would enjoy and is vegetarian.
Some countries cater for vegetarian people, like especially the Asian countries, because I think a lot of people don't eat meat in Asia. But other countries like Australia, you know, you can have horse meat, kangaroo, you can have everything. So have you been to Australia?
I have not yet.
Yeah, okay, it's an experience, but it's not as crazy as the experience you'll have when you go to India. Do you have a regular girlfriend back home, or
No,
Okay.
I'm single currently, and I
listen
don't
to
think
that, listeners? He's single. He's single. Do you have to contact your parents often to let them know that you're safe and everything's good?
Mostly my parents contact me, and
Okay.
then I have to fight off the constant come back home, come back home.
Now, I know you work remotely. For a lot of people listening, they want to travel and work at the same time. Do you find it easy? Is it difficult? Are there complications or not?
I wouldn't say it's difficult, but it's definitely not easy. Sometimes you have problems with connection. Sometimes there's a lot of background noise, a lot of people.
Okay.
Sometimes you just cannot focus on your task. So it has its difficulties, but
But does it make the travelling fun? Remember, you're out. You've got freedom.
yes.
You can work more or less whenever you want, you know, in the day. And you could always go and sit in a cafe somewhere quietly. Do you think other travellers should do this?
Absolutely. I think people who have the opportunity to work remotely, they should try to travel for a little while.
Yeah.
You can always get an Airbnb or stay somewhere where it's
Good point.
less
Yeah.
noisy. You can definitely work. I've met so many people here in Faro who are working.
And are there plenty of different types of jobs that you can do online?
Yes, yeah. There's a lot of jobs you can do as a regular person, but there's also a lot of jobs for travelers specifically. There's a lot of travelers who take traveling jobs, such as translating for different companies. You
Yeah.
can do that online, and they pay you. That's how you live.
And you can teach online now.
You can also teach online.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
so there's a lot of people looking for that. Again, you need a good Wi-Fi connection, and then you don't have any problems. What's your favourite sport?
So I do play American football. But
Really?
yes,
Seriously?
But my favorite sport is basketball. That's my passion.
Okay. And you got the bug for the American football when you were in America.
Yes, yeah.
Do you have all the equipment?
I don't. I have it from my team.
Okay. And basketball. How long have you been playing basketball?
4 years now. I always played basketball because it's just an easy thing to do. You
Yes.
always have a hoop around and a ball. But
Yeah,
regularly,
well, you don't even need a hoop, really. You can just
Yeah.
dribble and learn to use the ball. Is there anything you carry in your backpack that you wouldn't leave at home, that you always bring with you?
That's an interesting question. But it's always towel. You need towel for everything.
You need a towel.
You have to.
Okay.
Absolutely need a towel.
Okay, there's travel towels that dry quickly, and then there's regular towels. The problem is if you shower in the morning and are leaving, your towel's wet all day and it stinks.
That is a problem. Yeah.
A lot of people get over that by getting ready at night, and then they don't need to use their towel in the morning, which is very strange. Or you just carry it with you and dry it, or you get ready early, so early that you're quick dry travel towel is dry by the time you leave. I mean, there's different options. A towel is very important. Also, if it's hot and sweaty, you can use a towel. Why Portugal?
So I actually have been here in February, so I didn't want to go back, but I was traveling through Italy on this trip, and since Italy started locking down, we were looking for the safest and fun option, and Portugal was the best choice.
Did you stop in Spain at all when you came through, or not? You just flew straight into Portugal?
I flew straight from Rome to Portugal. It was a 10-euro flight.
What about ambition and the future? How do you see you traveling in the future?
Well, I study finance, and then when you start your career, it demands that you spend a lot of time working. So I see there's going to be a difficulty for me to travel, but traveling is such an important thing for me that I know that I will make time for traveling.
But don't you think, with all the money you're going to earn, you could have your own business, couldn't you?
I'm planning on it eventually.
Yeah, I would. It's the only way that gives you more freedom than before.
Absolutely, yeah.
How do you think the coronavirus will affect travelling in the future? Not now, but in the future. Maybe when it's going and people suddenly realise that they can start travelling again.
Yeah. So what I think is going to do is there's going to be less travelers who just travel for holidays, but more people like me who travel and work at the same time, because it gives us the opportunity to work online and from home. And if I can work from home, I can also work from Faro in Portugal.
You could work from anywhere.
Exactly.
10 years ago, you'd occasionally go into a dorm or somewhere, and there'd be somebody sitting on the bed with their computer, and they'd be doing something, and you say, well, what are you doing? They say, oh, I'm just earning some money for the day. And they'd be doing something online, and they'd be making some money. But the funny thing is that it was rare. Now, everybody's doing it. They have special rooms for it in hostels, do business anywhere in the world, which I think is awesome. And I think maybe when the coronavirus is gone, there'll be so many people working online from home or from remote places that I think there'll be less people in the marketplace. You know, there'll be more people just doing this. I don't know if you agree with that or not, but I just see it going that way. I've interviewed other people and they've said, oh, no, the coronavirus is going to change travelling completely. And other people say, no. It'll be exactly as it was before because people are slow to learn.
Yeah.
Do you think it'll change people's living habits? I spoke to one guy and he said that he's getting out of the cities and he's going to find a place in the country because cities will be the worst place for viruses and infections. Do you think that's a problem? Staying in a city?
Yes, well, cities are overcrowded, and most affected places are cities such as New York or right now Prague. It's definitely going to affect them in a negative way, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah. And where would you say is one of the best places you've ever been to?
I've been to Hawaii.
Oh, wicked.
Cool.
Everybody says it's fantastic there.
Yeah, I also enjoyed Brazil a lot. And from this trip, I would have to say Malta, because we had just an amazing group of people. And
it's funny because I've never been to Malta.
you should. It's a
very
country.
small island. I mean, I've been to Gibraltar and I've been to all the other small English places, but Malta, never made it.
Week is enough. If you're doing something every day, week is enough for the whole country.
Okay. Is it that small?
It is that small. Like, I was actually thinking that if I had more time, I would walk across the whole country. I think it would take me like 2 or 3 days, but it wouldn't.
Which is nothing really, is it?
Exactly.
Have you ever considered walking the Camino de Santiago?
I'd never considered it, but on this trip I heard a lot of people who've done it. It's definitely an interesting trip, and maybe in the future when I have more time.
Well, if you look at a map, there's just so many different routes.
Yeah.
You can do short ones, long ones, it doesn't matter. But because a lot of people that I meet or have met have done it, their experience is different from mine. What about the worst place you've been to?
Worst place I've been to? That's a tough one.
Not everywhere is suitable for everybody.
Yes, yeah. So on this trip, I have to say the worst place for me was Rome.
Oh, wow.
Even though I really appreciate the architecture and everything.
But it's expensive though, isn't it? I mean, I've been there.
But also it's such a dirty city.
Yeah.
For example, when I was leaving Rome to fly here, I remember thinking that the one thing that I'm going to remember from Rome is the smell of urine.
Oh yeah.
It's everywhere.
Don't go to India then. It'll kill you. They just urinate along the walls and stuff like that. Music. Do you like music while you travel?
Music is a huge part of my life, and I listen to music every time, like all the time.
Okay. If I said to you Brazil, what music do you think of? Is there particular music, or would you have to hear music and then go, oh yeah, that reminds me of Brazil?
Brazil, just the dance music, a lot of dance music, because we did go dancing a lot.
And you like dance music?
I like dancing, so I do like dance music as well.
I think music's important. I don't listen to it all the time, but when you're traveling, you will see people with earphones on, and you're just wondering if they're listening to music or listening to podcasts or something. So yeah, it's good to know that music's your thing. What is your favourite music? What's the thing that you listen to a lot?
My favorite music. So my music style is very versatile, but the most I listen to Post Malone, which is very chill. It's an American artist from Texas.
What's his name?
Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Yeah.
I'm too old for all this. I'll tell you. Never even. I've heard of Malone, but not Post Malone. Okay, is he good?
Very good. Yeah.
Is he a rapper or just a normal?
I wouldn't call him a rapper. It's just like a kind of hip hop, but the lyrics just make sense. It's very relatable.
No, yeah, that's right. Interests change as we get older, so you'll see.
Yeah, I definitely. I can see that on myself as well.
Because you're not still listening to nursery rhymes.
No.
What is it about travelling that you like about travelling? What's the thing in travelling that you like?
The people.
It's the people all the way?
The people. Mm-hmm.
Not the freedom?
No, there's a lot of freedom at home as well.
But I was going to say, it sounds like you've had freedom from a very early age, so it's no different from before.
I got independent on my parents very quickly. I was able to have a lot of freedom for myself.
Were your parents travellers?
Not really, no. My mom, she lives 25 kilometers from where she was born, but she always made sure that we had what she didn't have, which is the opportunity to travel and to explore the world.
She's a very forward-thinking mother.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very grateful for that.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have an older sister and a younger stepsister.
And are they travellers?
My older sister, she did a fair part of traveling. She went to Asia 2 years ago and Mexico last summer. But I don't think she travels the way I do, like for longer extended periods of time where you don't know when you're coming back. Whenever she goes somewhere, she books both ways.
Oh, okay, so she gets a return ticket.
Yes.
Do you plan or you don't plan when you travel?
I like to have a little bit of a plan of like know what I want to see, what cities that I want to go to, but I like to keep things open to change.
So things can change as you go.
Mm-hmm.
Where we come from, no plan is the best plan, but it's just the way it is. Are you scared of getting lost?
I'm scared of getting lost if it means that I won't be able to find my way back afterwards.
Okay.
But in this world where I have my phone on me, if I get lost, at least there's adventure.
Can you imagine not having your phone?
I can. Yeah, since a lot of my work is online, my phone often dies. Yeah. And then I have to just find my way without it.
And do you find that interesting or exciting? Rather, these days it's very easy.
It's too easy.
It's too easy, yeah. Hammocks, tents, hostels, hotels. What's your preference?
I've done them all. Definitely hostels are my preference because it's the combination of somewhat comfortable sleep, but a lot of people and fun and adventure.
Yeah, I thought you'd say that because you can't go to a hostel where you just can't help but mix with the people.
Exactly, yes.
And if you stay in a dorm, you automatically have 8 friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Unless one snores, of course. Do you have any funny stories of your travels? Anything that's happened, something that's happened to you that just make you laugh when you think about it?
Last summer when I was in Italy on a road trip, one day we couldn't find a place to sleep, so we decided to sleep in a car. But we parked in front of some house.
Yeah.
It was 1 o'clock in the morning. We didn't think anyone would notice.
Yeah.
But they thought that we are coming to rob them. So they started chasing us with like tools and stuff.
Where's this?
It was in between Rome and Florence.
So really, they just thought you were there ready to rob them?
Yes. Yeah.
That's so Italian. That is so Italian. Okay, when was the last time you were back home?
When I was back home, 2 months ago.
And do you miss it?
I only miss basketball and beer, to be honest.
Okay, and the beer's good?
Czech Republic has the best beer and the cheapest. Not the cheapest, but cheapest.
I have a Brazilian friend whose job was to drink beer, 1 beer a week, write an article about it, and then in the end of the year was to say which is the best beer, and he came up with Belgian beer.
They do have a very interesting craft beer, but when I'm talking about a big production, it's definitely Czech.
Okay. Are you a night person or a morning person?
So recently I've had trouble sleeping, so I'm both night and morning person.
Have you been in any natural disasters?
Natural disasters?
Floods or tsunamis or earthquakes or something?
The first week when I was in Texas, we basically had two of them. We had a hurricane and a tornado like a couple of days later.
Wow.
I wasn't affected heavily because I was in Austin, which is further from the shore.
Yeah, Austin, Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it pretty rough? Windy and rain and...
Yeah, it was very rainy and windy, but we stayed home. What affected me more is probably the aftermath, just seeing the people who suffered the most.
Because it's pretty devastating. I mean, nothing escapes a tornado. Who would you say was your inspiration for travelling when you were younger?
My inspiration for traveling, I think the first motivation came from just visiting my girlfriend, and then I just fell in love with the uncertainty and the adventure of traveling.
But what did your parents say? Like, you're 15 or 16 years old, you go, oh, Mum, I'm going to America. What did she say?
She came up with few requirements that I had to meet to be able to go. First one was to keep up my grades. She thought I'm not going to be able to do that, and I did.
Listeners, I'm telling you, this guy's intelligent. He doesn't have any problem with that part.
And then the second one was that I have to pay it myself. So I got a job and started working.
What were you doing?
That year I worked in a construction.
Brilliant. You see, this guy's not only brainy, but he's physical. So, as you can hear, the clock is striking 7:30, and that was a guess.
You're correct.
We'll wrap it there. Thank you very, very much. I hope your travelling goes well. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you for having me.
Well, that's all for this week, folks. And please remember, the same road can be travelled 1,000 different ways. So get out there and make it your own. Until next week.